First of all, I must appreciate the honor and the privilege of being invited by this active, well-involved branch of the NBA to this year's program. It is a great honor and privilege to me. Secondly, I will just take a little encounter I had with Chief Gani Fawemi when I was in prison. In 1995, there were crowds of Nigerians who were arrested from different parts of the country, and they were all brought to Lagos by the SHEU SANNI A Human regime. And we were deposited in various prisons. And my own prison happened to be the Kirikiri maximum security prison. I was brought in along with late General SHEU SANNI A Human, and there were other crowds of journalists who were also arrested from Lagos here. And later, Obasanjo was brought in to join us. So by the time some of them came, I was already a senior man in the prison. So being there earlier, I had the privilege and the opportunity of helping them to be allocated a better cells which they can stay. But I thought that arrest was the usual arrest which activists are apprehended and then sent to detention. I never knew that arrest was a special one because we were set to be framed for a coup, which never happened. While I was in Kirikiri prison, brought in from Kaduna, we stayed there for 8 months first. And then at a certain time we were invited to where they call Special Investigation Panel, somewhere in Alexandria Street, I don't know where it is. Where we were all brought in and interrogated for our involvement in coup. So you can imagine an activist joined together with other military generals, some retired, some active colonels and captains. And we're all taken to a special investigation panel. At that time, after the interrogation, we were brought back to ourselves. So I wrote 3 letters stating everything that happened. One to Beko, the second one to Gani, and the third one to my brother Femi Fana who's here. The prison warden from Kirikiri who took that letter is just standing outside there. I can see him there. He's running away. His name is Mr. Ewela Bohumati from Ondo State. So since then he has always been my friend. Then one of the advantages of being a lawyer is that you know the implications of whatever you're going to do. So I wrote 3 letters from prison. Gani got his letter, read it, signed it, and then granted it to me. Banana got his letter, signed it, and granted it to me, demanding for a release. But Beko, being a medical doctor, he wrote the letter publicly. And that earned him an arrest and then joining us in prison. And he was given the charge of accessory to the fact of prison. So I now start thinking, why was Beko arrested? Then I found out that Falana and Gani hide their own letter. So they have no access to it. So that's one of the advantages of being a lawyer. And we thank Gani, Falana, and other student union activists at that time, like SHEU, who stood for us, who fought for us at that very time. Having said that, it's important that we consistently and continuously remind ourselves that this democracy was not a gift given to us by the people. It was also not a lottery that we won. It was a product of struggle and sacrifice. There were people who were killed in the struggle for democracy. There were people who were jailed in the struggle for that democracy. There were people who were forced to exile. This country should not forget the heroic role played by the campaign for democracy, the national conscience before it became a party, the civil liberties organization, the Committee for Defense of Human Rights. We should not forget the role played by the nuns of those days, not the nuns of today. We should not forget the role played by the academic staff union of universities. The Lupeng. We shouldn't forget the media. Tempo, the news magazine, Ten magazine, Punch, Guardian, all those papers who stood in the defense of freedom and democracy when those in the position of power today were nowhere to be found. We have seen the heroes of democracy, like Professor Wale Sheikh, Tania Borisha, the NBA of those days, and many comrades I've seen here, whom the last time I saw them, they were younger than where they are, what they are today. We shouldn't forget that. I think the fundamental mistake we made, including the late Chief Gani Forum, the ANC fought the anti-apartheid struggle for decades, and they liberated South Africa from the grip of apartheid colonialism. But they never stopped at a movement. They transformed into a political party, the dawn of democracy, and took over state power. 1999, we made a fundamental mistake, never thinking that democracy will last. We were relaxed. People who never fought for democracy, who never suffered for democracy, who were nowhere in the street and in the pitch when we were all fighting, took over state power. Today, they are still in charge. So there are people like us who handcuffs and leg chain, they threw in and out of prison. You can't lecture us about democracy. Because we fought for it and you were nowhere to be found. Today, in South Africa, we have seen each time a person speaks, the question the people ask him is, where were you during the struggle? That is it. 24 years down the line, nobody can say this is what we fought for. One person became the king of Central Bank of Nigeria. Share money everywhere. A rich and amassed wealth for himself. under a government that calls itself headed by a man of integrity. Let us look at it. 4 banks. When you go to Hilton, when you go to Sheraton, when you go to any of these 5-star hotels, when they say this is a committee of bankers that are meeting, all of them in suits. There are some of them are called captains of industry. It's all public money. Bankers, accountants, professionals. Now, revelations after revelations is telling us that it is all Nigeria's money. These are people who will never like to be associated with the struggle. They make no sacrifices, but the whole country belongs to them. So it is important that we bring ourselves to this reality. Secondly, the topic here is self-determination and social groups. Well, it's important that we accept this fact. All the 53 or 54 African countries are all colonial carve-outs. They're all colonial carve-outs. Very well. Even Ethiopia, that was ever colonized, it got part of Somalia as its own share when Africa was balkanized, and part of Southern Sudan was also added to it. I am not a fan of secession. I'm a Pan-Africanist who believe that we should dissolve our borders and have Africa as one country, one nation. That's my own thing. And I believe secessionists have, I don't believe in them, but they have the right to express their opinion. Because there are historical facts that show that a national anthem, a national pledge, national prayer, constitution, and national flag cannot hold a country. Yugoslavia has all this. Soviet Union had all this. Malaysia and Singapore used to be one country. South Sudan and North Sudan used to be one country. But this is what became of it. So if we have a country where leaders don't see themselves as servants of the people, but people who conquer territories, they will always share the resources and positions to their own loyalists and nothing else. We want this country to remain one, indivisible, and united. If they find, sometimes they obtain pass tickets from terrorists. There were places where some village will invite terrorists to protect them from bandits. This is how it happens. Payment of ransom. Recently, one of my former classmates was kidnapped. That's about 7 days ago. He went to his farm. Then they asked us to make contributions, and we did. Someone said he has no money to contribute. He said, okay, the money is available now. You take the money to the terrorists. He said in that case he preferred to make his own money. So if it is impressive for us to see people standing up and fighting for it. But I don't consider secessionist group that kill people who don't believe in them as secessionist groups. If you are running a secessionist group, you should win the hearts of people. You should advance your cause based on reason principles for which you believe that you should seek a divorce. But when you impose on people, you must close down your shop every day. And whoever knows that, you go after them. You are not different from the people you are fighting. There are times secessionist groups can be a worse oppressive force than even those in the constitutional power. So to me, I believe that we must accept this fact that as a people, if this country is going to survive, then we must not lose touch with our duty and responsibility as men and women of conscience and conviction to continue to stand up for what is just and what is right. Each time I have to hold on like this, I will appreciate those who have always stood by us during our period of struggle. Falana brought me to campaign for the It's like Che Guevara, who moves from Congo to this. He moves to the north to recruit. So I always be thankful. And I always, because the voices were stronger here, the forces were stronger here. So each time we come here to pick the pamphlets of campaign for democracy to move there, they provide the cover for us. And I think if this country has to continue to move forward, we must learn from the way you in this part of the country do speak to power, irrespective of whether the person is position of authority is from your place. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.